So welcome back. I think we've got some of the same people that were on this morning. So we're back here with Victoria Penrose, professional makeup artist, and she's going to chat to us this afternoon about her career, freelancing, and making it in the business. Victoria has already been sent a list of questions from our makeup and beauty students, so we'll work through them, and then any other questions anyone has, just pop them in the chat, and we will come to them potentially at the end. So what I'm going to do is mute myself and make Victoria the spotlight so we can all see her. Off you go.
Thank you. Right, thank you, Rachel. Another hour of me talking. I'm already sick of the sound of my own voice. I'm sure you will be as well. I was actually just saying to Rachel, I have sort of a weird jaw head thing that through stress, I clamp my teeth at night, and it gives me horrific these sort of head things where I can't see or hear very well, and I'm always in quite a lot of like underwater feeling kind of pain. It's really hard to describe, and I lose my track of thought sometimes because sometimes it takes over. So if I do that in the next hour, because talking for an hour when I feel like this can sometimes be a bit tough, just bear with me. I've got some questions in front of me and I'm going to go through them one by one. So firstly, they're really good questions. They're so good. Sometimes I either get questions that need such a long answer I can't actually answer it properly, or questions that just aren't very relevant, but these are perfect. So anyway, let's get going. Are there many opportunities in Cornwall? Let's sort that here out. No is the kind of broad answer. There isn't many opportunities for a makeup artist in Cornwall when you come from a TV background, TV or film or fashion. That said, it's not the end of the world, because there are millions of weddings in Cornwall. Over the years, I must have done about 500 weddings down here, and they pay really, really well, especially if you do hair and makeup, so it's double the work, double the money. And there are so many of them. There's so many new wedding venues, barn conversions, outdoor ceremonies. There are so many more celebrants and wedding planners in Cornwall now, and in the southwest, that you have lots and lots of people to hit up to recommend you. And there's only so many days a week to have weddings, so there's just loads of them. There's enough for all the competition or other makeup artists in Cornwall if you're good. So there is that. There is also sort of, maybe you'll find that there's some filming projects down there. I mean, we all know there's been Poldark. There was what was the one with Dawn French and I've forgotten her name now, Amelia Fox. There's also a lot of documentaries filmed down here, lots of reality type programs like moving house programs or Welcome to the Country or that sort of thing. Different things about walking in Cornwall or food in Cornwall. There's some cooking shows based down here. So there are TV shows that are made down here. Unfortunately, they tend to bring someone from London, because the talent, which is what we call the presenter, requests that makeup artist. Or maybe like me, they know that I have a base in Cornwall. I have a home, which is where I am now in Cornwall. So they'll kind of get London standard, but in Cornwall, and then they'd have to pay my accommodation because I have a home here. That happens quite a lot. Unfortunately, there isn't many production companies down here. So even though there's TV programs that are made down here, the production companies are based in London, Manchester, Liverpool, maybe Bristol or Exeter. Therefore, the contacts that the producers who are working on it and the production coordinators working on it are their friends or colleagues in London. So it's a real tricky one. So there isn't that much work down here. If there is film down here, again, exactly the same thing happens. They'll bring down a London team. That said, if there's crowd work, so all the background, the supporting artists, they will need lots of makeup artists in that, like for Poldark, for example, and they might use local people because it's kind of just muddying people up or doing a few basic cuts or making them look like they're all in the 40s. So yes, you've just got to really have your finger on the pulse and know what's going on. If you hear of something going on, you research the production company, you get in touch with them and say, listen, I want to work for free, I'll do whatever, if there are any crowd scenes that need being covered. But there are plenty of musicians down here as well, people making sort of smaller time videos. but also we've got the internet now, so there is a huge opportunity for you to be vlogging, you know, doing Instagrams, like making money through advertising, through social media. So you don't always have to move away. I did, because it was sort of 18 years ago. There wasn't any internet that you could do then, but there is now. So you could start your own business, and that's what Cornwall is really, really famous for, is having the biggest amount of self-employed and small businesses in the whole of the UK, because there isn't many sort of career opportunities in Cornwall. There are jobs maybe, but there aren't necessarily careers. And that's where small businesses and self-employed people really come into their own, especially in the creative industries. There are magazines down here like Wed Magazine, who cover wedding industry. There's Cornwall Live, Cornwall Today. They might need makeup, although it tends to be for free, which is a bit rubbish, but it's nothing stopping you doing your own thing like that, setting up your own kind of media business. There are a couple of small studios down here. There's one in Bodmin called the Cornwall Channel, and there's another called the Fox and something, I think. They are doing some productions down here. Maybe there'd be a brand like, say, look, Rick Stein, we were just talking about him. Maybe he wants to shoot an advert down here and he uses all local people. So if you got him with the production company based down here, you could get, you know, you could get through it that way. Equally, there are a couple of clothing brands like Sea Soul and Celtic Sheepskin, I think they're called. They shoot down here and they use local makeup artists. Tends to be the case that once there's a makeup artist there, unless anything happens to that makeup artist, or they have a baby or whatever happens, they tend to do the whole thing. So unfortunately, it's a very small pond, essentially. Which leads me on to, do you get used to living and working away from home? I do. I absolutely love it. Maybe it's not for everyone, but my dream was, I grew up on a farm in Cornwall with a farming family. I'm an only child. So my dream was always to be in a busy environment, in a cityscape. I used to watch Friends and see the skyline and just think, oh my God, I'd love to live in a flat one day, which is probably really weird to lots of people. And I definitely got that dream come true, because I currently live in a box, literally live in a square studio space that costs more than my parents' house and land, but it's about the size of your bedroom. So I love it. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me. Being in London, being in the city, there is just so much happening 24/7. I'm never bored. I'm always interested. It's so easy to get around. I find it so annoying in Cornwall that you've got to drive everywhere. I love the fact that I can be drunk whenever I want at any time of day in London and still get safely home. So I find it very easy living away. I think you definitely need to have a lot of support, and I don't think necessarily that means financially. It definitely didn't in my case. My parents haven't got any money, but it did mean that when I was struggling, or when I mean, because I moved up not knowing a single person, I always had them to talk to, and I think it was really lovely, because that was before, again, the internet and social media, so I couldn't really connect with friends very easily, apart from maybe a text that costs a lot of money, or writing letters. I do think if you moved away, it'd be a lot easier now, because you can have so much easier contact with your friends and family back home. I also think you'd make friends a lot quicker, because if you went to a uni there, you'd obviously join up on their Facebook groups, or whatever you do, WhatsApp groups of your halls of residence, and it'd probably be a lot easier. But you do need to find like another job while you're studying, and that's where the rub can be. Whereas I needed to work in a clothes store in Covent Garden and in a pub, and then somehow have time to shoot for free and do freelance work for free to build up my contacts, and that was really tough. Lots of hours. There came to a point where I couldn't really afford rent, so I had to sleep on my friends' floors, or just take lovers whenever I could and just stay with them. So I definitely struggled financially. If you know anyone you can live with or stay with or crash with, that helps a lot. I went to university at the London College of Fashion. The question is, which university did you go to and what did you study? So I studied a BA in makeup design at LCF, which comes under the University of the Arts, which is one of the most recognised university groups in the world. London College of Fashion has a really great reach, and it has a really great standing within the industry. There's a lot of placements that come out of it, and you get really great lecturers. I didn't like university at all. I found it very difficult. It was a very academic course. I thought it'd be more practical. We had 1 day of makeup and 1 day of hair, and the other 3 days a week were in theory of colour, art history, fashion history, a lot about the theory of fashion, theory of art, theory of makeup. So a lot of, although it was maybe a non-academic subject, it was a particularly academic course. And obviously it was a BA, so I had to do my dissertation at the end. And again, this was before sort of having your own laptop at home, you know, having to go to the library and photocopy things. And it was very labor intensive, whereas I think things are probably a little bit easier now in terms of research. Although it did set me up really, really well for the future, especially in TV, because my knowledge of history is really in depth. I'm naturally interested in that sort of thing. I'm very interested in the past. So I tend to retain information about different eras quite well. But the course definitely helped me with that. So I can apply that to my work now. Also, it really helped with the history of fashion and history of art, because growing up in Cornwall, I found it like I couldn't really get access to magazines that I wanted to read to find out about other makeup artists or fashion houses. I know that's different now, and especially because most magazines are basically online now. So it definitely opened my eyes to that world, because I was quite green growing up on a farm. I didn't really know a lot about the industry or what was current, maybe. So I studied makeup and hair, which was very, very important. I couldn't do my job unless I was really good at hair. What I would say is that university gave me a huge amount of basics and a lot of knowledge that I didn't have before. If you were really, really dedicated and really good at research, I would think you could find a lot of information on YouTube now, if you looked in the right places. I don't know whether I needed to spend £10,000 in uni to get me where for where it got me, because I feel like since I graduated, I've learned so much more by myself, just by assisting, by researching, by just practically doing hair and makeup on, you know, from 90 to 19, from black to pure translucent white skin, you know, from many races around the world. That's what's given me my knowledge of the industry and knowledge of hair and how things work. Because in university, I had 90% of the class were white, and we're all, obviously, I was 18 to 22, so we're very young. So I don't think that's maybe the best basis to be a makeup artist, but it's a good start. It's hard. It's a really hard question. Well, not that was a question. I've just told you stuff that you didn't even need to know. But what I'm saying is, if you're super dedicated and you maybe have someone to stay with in a city and you could get assisting work, I think that would be just as useful. That said, I do think you need an initial training with someone. I do think you need an initial base to work from. My first job on TV, on set, I think my first job was for a channel called Nuts. There used to be a magazine called Nuts, and it was a lads mag, when lads mags were really big in like the late 90s, early 2000s. And there was and it was just, I don't think we had Freeview yet, but you could obviously get Sky channels. And it was like a men's channel where like it would be talking about sport and cars, football, and there would always be like half naked girls. And that was my first job, just making these girls look gorgeous and slathering them in like shiny stuff. So it wasn't exactly a claim to fame, but I did get paid for it. And I mean, that was literally my sort of maybe my first few days of working, but that quite snowballed quite quickly. And then I ended up on a couple of shows that really helped me. One was 10 Years Younger, and one was How to Look Good Naked. And they were quite big Channel 4 makeover shows in the 2000s. And because they were so big, they had really good makeup artists working on them. I ended up assisting, and that kind of led to lots more jobs through there. So that one kind of crazy job can take you on to other things. Like another first thing I did was a sort of makeover panel show with Marlene Klass, and she was just out of Hearsay. I'm sure none of you have heard of Hearsay, but it was like an X Factor type band, and then Marlene Klass was in that, and then she went on to be a presenter. And I was working with her when she was sort of like not doing much, and then I was going through that. I ended up going on tour with the Saturdays when they were just starting. And yeah, so lots of people when they were just starting, and now they're obviously a lot bigger. but that's how you get in, isn't it? Doing these little bits and pieces, and then they take you onto other things, and then just snowball effect. My ultimate goal in makeup, I don't really have one, and I think that's probably a shame, because I hear a lot about manifesting these days and sort of envisaging your future career and your future life, and I never really did any of that. I'm not the type of person to sort of very maybe it's a Cornish thing, I'm sort of quite laid back, I would say, and not particularly go-getting. I think I work really hard, but I don't think I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, because I don't think you can actually manipulate your life to necessarily. In my job, I couldn't say, oh, I'm going to do Victoria Beckham one day, who I would love to do, and it would happen, because I just know it doesn't work like that. So maybe it's just to protect myself. But my ideal person to work on would be Victoria Beckham. I've always loved her because I was a Spice Girls fan, and I've done 3 out of the 5 Spice Girls makeups, so she's on my list. And Liam Gallagher, who I've met many times, but I've not done his makeup, and he is my dream person to touch, but maybe not in a makeup way, so maybe I shouldn't be doing that. My ultimate goal, actually, if I was to answer that perfectly well, is to be paid my full rate for every job I do, and that never happens, and that's not down to me. So yeah, it would be to earn more money, especially now. When working as a freelance makeup artist, what one piece of equipment would you say is most helpful or makes lives easier but maybe overlooked? Comfortable shoes, does that count? And a warm coat, does that help? Don't think that counts, but it's very, very important, because I'm always freezing. I always have these little hand heat packs in my kit, because I'm always cold. Always have a hot water bottle, really comfortable warm shoes, waterproof clothes, they're really important for long filming days. Like vitamin C tablets, lots of any kind of mood enhancing or brightening vitamins you can get. Coffee. But actually I would say one of my most important things is a really good kit bag, so sort of the clear vinyl bags that I take with me on set that have loads of pockets for all my products, my brushes. I always have like a little tissue holder so I can reach a tissue really quickly, a makeup wipe holder which I can access really quickly. Have all my hairsprays in it. I take a lot of products out of palettes and I put them into my own little palettes. So say I've got oil-based concealer, I'll scoop it out and make a little palette with all my different colour concealers. So when I'm on set, I'm not scrabbling through just trying to find the jar I need when all the jars look the same. I can just flip open the lid and get what I need. And also I can spray that with IPA alcohol to make sure it's always really clean. So that would be pretty handy. So depotting and a kit bag. Just anything that will make you as quick as possible, because you'll always have 10 people going faster, 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 even though you're going as fast as you possibly can. Normally always someone will say to me, almost once a day when I'm filming, they'll say, sorry, I've just hit my table. Could you just go as quick as you can, please, we're in a rush. And I think to myself, oh no, I'm just fucking around having a cup of coffee. Like, I am going as fast as I can. So yeah, anything that makes your life quicker and easier. At what point did you think, I've made it, I'm successful and well known? Well, I don't think I have made it. I don't think I'm that successful or well known. I bought my own home in London by myself with no help from anyone. And I considered that a pretty cool thing to do. And that was all down to me and my job that I chose and I worked hard for. So that to me was a sign of success. My name is on credits, not weekly, but I would say about once a month on average, or maybe once every 2 months, my name will be on the credits of something, and that makes me really happy, and it makes my mum extremely happy. She records it. So yeah, I think that's success. It's hard, isn't it? Because like I see people who live in, because I do a lot of celebrities, I'm going into their homes and it makes me sick with jealousy, because they live in a 4-bedroom house, they've got room for their parents to stay, they've got enough room to have had a baby. I can't have a baby because I haven't got enough space. Like, they just have so much money and stuff around them that I see that as more successful than me, but which is a really wrong way to look at things, and I do understand that, and I'm trying to say it so I hope you don't think that way, but sometimes it can be really hard in London because no matter how hard you work, you just can't afford anything. And I'm on my own as well, so I haven't got someone else's more like income to help me with a mortgage. So I think and it can be really frustrating because the people who I'm working for might just be absolutely thick as shit and have just got really famous because they've got massive boobs and are on a reality show, and that kills me because I've worked from 4 a.m. till midnight for like the last 20 years, and it obviously you can tell by me at the beginning of this thing I said about how much pain I'm in all the time, and I'm sure that's a result, and I'm sure being single is a result of my career and everything, so it definitely takes a lot away from you. So I think the success is that I've survived. I pay all my own bills. I don't have any help. I'm really generous with my friends, and I like to buy them things, and I like to drink and go out a lot, and I spend money on traveling. So to me, that's success in just being self-supporting and being a boss bitch. But of course, I would love to like be doing A-list Hollywood celebrities every day. I've done a few, but yeah, I mean, obviously to go on tour around the world, you know, doing a press junket with Angelina Jolie would be a lot more successful than doing Mary Berry in a field, but we take what we can. Okay, do you recommend being represented by an agency? Yes, 1,000 million trillion % get yourself an agent. It will be the best thing you've ever done, and you'll be as rich as you'll ever be. The downside is that it's almost impossible to get an agent. The only people I know who have agents are fashion, editorial, same thing, fashion editorial makeup artists. So those are the people that have worked in fashion on very small magazines, lookbooks, or I mean online shoots since they were very young, working for free for probably 10 years and doing some incredibly unusual, beautiful makeups, and sometimes the best makeups being hardly any makeup at all. I'm talking just a swipe of pink eyeshadow on the lid and a really glossy clear skin and some freckles on 19-year-old Ukrainian models for, you know, high-end editorial magazines. Then eventually they might end up getting represented by an agency because they've assisted one of the makeup artists on the agency's books, and they work for free for them for years, and then they get taken on. And when you're with an agency, you will always do very big celebrities coming over from America or from around the world, because it's very unlikely with today's money that, well, it's not, it depends. Sometimes a big celebrity, say like Lady Gaga, she will bring her own hair and makeup around the world. That's her, she's got her own team, her own money. If it's a film promoting, I can't think of any, Susan Sarandon and let me think of any male celebrity, Ryan Gosling, they've done a film in America and they want to promote it around the UK, Germany, wherever they go, in Australia. Usually they'll use a makeup artist from an agency in that city to do their hair and makeup instead of flying a makeup artist from America around the world, because they're not that type of celebrity who would necessarily have their own person with them all the time. They might have their own person that they like to use every year for the Golden Globes, but they're not that fussy, I suppose is the word. And if you're with an agency, you're likely to work on them. That's so frustrating for me because obviously I know I could do their makeup inside out. I've done sort of like Nigerian dictators makeup, and I've done, you know, 21-year-old fluffy reality stars makeup, and everyone in between. So I definitely know I could handle them and I could do the makeup, but because I'm not represented by an agency, I wouldn't be looked twice at. And then they end up using the fashion makeup artists who are with an agency who've probably never done an older skin in all of their lives, and it kills me. So yes, is the answer, is try and get an agent. You'll only get one if you work in fashion and editorial, and that would mean a very poor and long slog in London in the fashion industry, which isn't the fun, like the friendliest or the most fun industry to be in, which is why I didn't do it, which is why I work in TV. So long story short, yes, but kind of no. Did you make your own website? No, I did not, because when my first website was in 2000 maybe, and I didn't even know how to turn a laptop on, let alone build a website. So I think I've actually used the same person for the last like 17, 18 years. He's Cornwall. All the people who work for me are Cornish. My solicitor, my accounting team, my website designer, my graphic designer, everyone, they were Cornish. So no, I didn't. Unless, I'm sure you can do it now. I think there are companies like Squarespace or WordPress that you can make your own website. I think that's probably the best way to go forward. Like, don't spend money unless you have to. That didn't exist when I started, and I'm not very technological. That said, any money that I spend having my website built, which wasn't very much, it was about £250, I think, when I first had it done, and it hasn't really been much since. Just changing it and updating it. You can put that in your expenses anyway for your tax, so it kind of works out. Okay, famous. Who was the most famous person I've worked on? I should have like a list in front of me because I get asked this question a lot and I always forget, and I end up saying something like Jedward, and like, you know, that's a bad answer. So I've worked on a lot of the royals. I've done Prince William, Prince Harry. Do we call him Prince Harry anymore, or just call him Has now? I'm not sure where we stand with that. I've done Sarah Ferguson, Duchess of York, some other sort of like lower list royals. In terms of celebrities, I've worked with Matt LeBlanc and Courtney Cox from Friends. I'm trying to think of anyone who's sort of known. Gosh, let me just bring up, hang on, let me bring up my website, should I? Like I said, I've done some of the Spice Girls. I've done Mel B, Mel C, Jerry Halliwell. Who else have I worked with? A lot of sort of bandy, sort of, I don't work with Kasabian, Robbie Williams. Let me have a look. I told you I can never ever remember who I've done. So it's such a big turnover every week. So this week coming up, I've got Amanda Holden, Sheridan Smith, Dr. Ranj, Judge Rinder. There's a real mix of people, a lot of English celebrities. Oh yeah, I do a lot of radio because I work for the BBC quite a lot. So I do all the BBC News and the One Show. And I work, well, not a lot of people work with them, not just me. But through that, I've worked with other makeup artists who are like the personal makeup artists for a lot of radio presenters through the BBC, like Joe Wiley and Lauren Laverne. So I've worked on them. Gabby Logan, Michael Caine, lots of football stars, lots of like ex-Eternal, Atomic Kitten, like lots of bandy type people. Who else? Well, I think we can wrap that up there. Donna Eyre, Caroline Quentin, Fleetwood Mac, Lenny Henry, Dermot O'Leary. Yeah, anyway, next question. What is the best tip for making it? Is it just about talent or a lot about attitude, commitment and professionalism? Yeah, absolutely. Way more about who you are as a person, your confidence, your ability to sort of fit in well to different situations, than it is necessarily about your skills as a makeup artist. Obviously that is a large, you know, if you can't do makeup, you can't do the job, or if you can't do hair rather. But I would say the fact that I can talk to anyone and I can kind of manipulate myself quite easily because of where I grew up. I grew up in Redruth, from like a very working class background, with not a lot of money. I definitely know what it's, you know, what Redruth is, a very poor area. So I can definitely fit very easily into being able to talk normally. I don't know how to describe it. So if I'm working with a contributor who's about to be interviewed on the news and they're on to talk about the pay gap and the fact that they're on universal credit and they're struggling, I can definitely manipulate myself to talk and put them at ease just as much as I can manipulate myself to work with, you know, very high-end socialites in London and talk about, you know, what restaurant we went to last night, or can you believe so-and-so did this and did that. You know, I can sort of fit my personality to suit what I'm doing. I think a really good tip to do is definitely pay attention to the news and media. Not to believe the news and media because there's a lot of lies, but anyone I work with, if I'm working with Peter Crouch, for example, I know he had his fourth child a year and a half ago. So I might say something like, oh, so, you know, is your youngest walking yet? Or, you know, has your oldest started school yet? You know, so just, you know, a little bit about what's going on in the world, so you don't put your foot in it like someone just got divorced and you say, oh, how's the hubby? You know, just make sure you sort of know when to shut up and know what to ask and how to be. And definitely be really determined and prepared to have no sleep and work really hard. I don't personally take many makeup assistants on set with me or trainees. I just don't really ever need anyone. If I do need an assistant to work with me, I would usually get one of my friends who's a makeup artist and say to them, listen, I've got a job, it's working with me, it's this much money, it's 200 quid for the day. If that's not enough for you, absolutely no problem, I can find someone else. But normally there's always a friend I can get on, so I don't necessarily need someone who's at an assistant level, unless the budget's absolutely horrific. But I normally know enough people to sort of fill those places. So I wouldn't say there's a lot of need for work experience or trainees or assistants in the industry. There is, but I would say it's more makeup designers or people who are doing like big shows. So if you're doing something like the X Factor, where you've got loads of dancers and loads of supporting artists, then you might need some like lower cost assistants. But I don't run any of those sort of big shows. I tend to work alone. Yeah. How does working freelance impact on earnings, taxes, and getting a mortgage? It's really difficult. It's almost impossible. I earn, or used to earn, just under 50,000 a year, and on paper that works out after my expenses as earning about 15,000 a year. So your mortgage is based on earning 15,000 pounds a year. So you can imagine you don't really get given much. When I bought my flat, the most a bank would lend me was 135,000, which is nothing. You know, the average price for a studio in London, just at one, like a one room where your kitchen is beside your bed, is about 250,000. So it's really tough. So it has a huge effect. Freelancing, the way it's done, the way you pay your taxes, that you offset your tax with your expenses. So if I earn £300 for a day's work, £50 of that will be on taxis to get to and from the job, or maybe you might use public transport, which is fine, but you have to carry a lot of kits. It's probably easier to jump in a taxi. And then you'll put your food through, you'll put your, you might have bought some special makeup for it, you might have bought a load of work wipes and cans of hairspray. So you can wipe off £100 in expenses, and that leaves you earning 200. So then you're actually taxed on the 200. So you actually look like you earn a lot less than you do. When you're working for someone, obviously that tax is done for you. So your wages are sort of like the wages are told to the mortgage company as in the total of what you get paid without the tax. So it's just really unfair for us, I feel. So it has a massive effect, and that's something you need to really think about. You have to think about saving way more than you do in any, well, not way more, but I think I'm very much more conscious of saving than a lot of my friends in full-term in employed jobs, because they always know they've got a wage packet coming in. I mean, who knew there was going to be a pandemic? And because they get covered for holiday and sick leave. So if I'm sick and I can't work, well, I just go to work because there isn't a choice. If I want a holiday, I've got to be prepared that I'm losing work as well as not getting paid while I'm on holiday. I will get no paternity leave. I will get no pension. So I have absolutely no support from anywhere in the government or from any business apart from just my own business, which has meant in a pandemic I've not had any money for about nearly a year, and it's been horrific, and I didn't get any government help. So be really aware that if you're not good with money, you have to get good with money. You have to somehow set up some kind of way that money is filtered into a savings account so you can pay tax. You have to pay tax twice a year, and it's always a guesstimate, so you pay tax based on what they think you're going to earn, which is really unfair because you might not even earn that much. It's really tough. You just don't know where your next money's coming from. It's living hand to mouth constantly. There's no structure. And quite often I've said to my family, I'm just going to give up and get, not often, I mean, but definitely in the last few years when I've just been so busy, but kind of not seeing a lot for it. or just sick of living in a really small space and thinking, when do I get to be a grown-up and have a grown-up life? It probably is not going to happen for me, because my rate, your earnings don't go up from year to year. They're the same every year. You don't get any pay rises. So the cost of living goes up, but your wages never do. And I've often said, I'm just going to give up and get a job in co-op, because I can't imagine anything nicer than knowing that I start work at 9, I finish work at 5, and I know exactly what I'm going to get paid. Sometimes earning less can be better for your sanity than earning more and just working from 5 a.m. till midnight and constantly being tired. So it's something you really need to think about before you get into this career. Is word of mouth and your reputation one of the best marketing tools? It's the only marketing tool. No one ever looks at my CV. No one ever looks at my website. Well, they might, but the only reason I get a job is because Sharon said to Sandra, oh, I had Victoria Penrose on the last block of filming we did. She was absolutely brilliant. She carried a load of crap for the cameraman and she made us all coffees. Definitely hire her again. And so then Sandra hires me, and she might have a quick look at my CV or my website, but ultimately she'll take recommendations from Sharon. So it's only through word of mouth. There is no makeup ever advertised anywhere. You'll never ever look in the back of a newspaper or look on a website and it will say makeup artist wanted. It's one of the only careers that don't advertise for jobs. So you only get jobs through people you know. So make sure you have lots of after work drinks with a lot of the colleagues you work with on one day, so they'll hire you on the next day. Is it important to have hairdressing training alongside makeup work as a freelance makeup artist? 100,000%. In the UK, you would be doing hair and makeup equally, and you have to be good at both equally. Black hair, mixed race hair, white damaged hair, curly, straight, blonde, whatever, you have to be good at them all. You have to know the basics of blow drying, hair ups, curling, tonging, getting height, being able to just do a really clean pony. It doesn't have to mean you have to cut, colour, do anything particularly intricate. You just have to make the hair look good and make it stay for 12 hours at least. So yeah, it's very important. The only time you wouldn't need hair skills is maybe if you worked in theatre, because they usually have separate teams for wigs and hair and separate teams for makeup, or the actors normally do their own makeup. It's very few jobs in theatre anyway. Theatrical makeup is not a career that really ever happens. Or maybe in film they might have separate hair again because of wigs. If you do light entertainment TV like I do, so I do like what light entertainment is basically the shiny floor shows, the Saturday night shows, the shows you watch when you're relaxing at home in the evening. And I do magazine shows, so things like the Jeremy Vine show or This Morning. They are they just need really good, clean, beautiful hair, and you don't really need any wig work. So it very much depends whether you're going to film, whether you're going into drama for TV, i.e. the EastEnders or Peaky Blinders, or whether you're going to light entertainment or celebrity stuff, where you need hair and makeup, or where you need prosthetics, or where you need wigs. So makeup pathways, makeup careers are all very different. They all need different things, but hair, I would say, is very important, and especially period hairstyling as well if you want to get into drama or films, so knowing how to do a wet set or a 1920s look. Where are we? Which is the most important hairstyling skill that you'll use often? Really good blow dry to give a lot of body and smoothing. So a blow dry over curly hair to make curly hair smooth. Back combing, really good back combing that provides a really decent scaffolding to lift the hair up, and that will stay for hours, not just this like that I see hairdressers doing, like a proper good back combing that doesn't damage the hair. That's really important. I guess knowing what products to use for what hair. What should you start charging for your makeup skills? How long should you have been qualified before you start charging? Tough question. I would say like the average rate for makeup is £250. Mostly I get paid £250 a day. My rate is £450 a day. That doesn't mean I'm going to get it. That's what I'll go in and say, and they'll probably bring me down to £250. They'll probably bring me down to about 300. 300, 350 is kind of like a medium rate for like a celebrity based light entertainment show. 250 would be like if you're doing a day on the news, if you're doing a day on ecom, or like, you know, a shoot day. 250 would probably be film rates. The difference with film, drama and commercial is they're protected by a union, so you do get sort of more money if you go over 12-hour days, I think. So if you start shooting into the night, you also get more money for night shoots. So if you film overnight, or early calls, so if you get called before 7 a.m, so if you get called at 3-4 o'clock in the morning, you'll get more money. Working in news and light entertainment and factual programs that I do, I just get a standard rate. So whether you're there for 3 hours or 17 hours, you'll get paid the same, which is great in some days, bad in others. Some days you'll do 3 hours on a job working on one man and you'll walk away with £300 and you think, oh my God, you lucky bastard. And then other days you're crying because you haven't ate for 12 hours and you're freezing cold in a field somewhere and you think, I'm not getting paid enough for this. But it normally is 250 is a really good to go price to say as you know, as a beginner. And to be honest, the job would probably tell you what they want to pay you. It's kind of based on £25 an hour, but obviously, like I say, it doesn't really work like that. And how long should you be? I don't know what to say. How long you should be trained? I think you probably need 2 or 3 years under your belt. Definitely training and assisting. And then maybe you'll get an assistant rate of maybe £150, £200 a day. I think you know when you think you should be charging, because if you go into any job with any kind of fear, or if you're halfway through doing a makeup and think, I don't know what I'm doing, or I haven't got the right product for this, or the person isn't happy, that's when you know you're not quite ready yet. I still get makeup artists in Cornwall email me, I won't mention any names, who still say, what makeup do you use on black skin? If you're asking that question, you're not ready to work. Go back to the drawing board. What brands of makeup do you recommend for sensitive skin? None in particular. The person should tell you what they have problems with. If any, like I say, I know Clinique, for example, can really have really weird reactions with people's skin. So you just take a lot of different brands with you and try things. Less is more. What's the best makeup brand for mature skin? None at all. They're all the same. It's just with what works for you. I would say if you've got mature skin, it's probably drier. So you want to look at really good skincare, and you want to look at more. You want to look for makeup that doesn't say long-lasting, matte, quick drying. Any of those are sort of red flags, because you should be looking for products that are dewy, youthful glow, replenishing, anything that kind of says water to you. That's what you'd be using for mature skin. Which eyeshadow palette or brand is your go-to in terms of pigment, ease of application, and most wearable colours? None. I carry about 20 eyeshadow palettes with me. I think there's something in everyone. I would say and Huda Beauty, HUDA, have incredible pigments. Urban Decay have incredible pigments. Who else do I like? Laura Mercier do some nice eyeshadow palettes for like more basics, but none. I have a mixture, or I build them myself. You can build your own eyeshadow palettes with MAC. Wouldn't say they're best makeup and best eyeshadows in the world, but they are great for like a beginner's putting together a palette of some just like really great basic colours. Do you prefer airbrushing or brush application of foundation? I never airbrush. No one ever airbrushes. It's really time consuming. You have to mix the pigment in the top of the airbrush gun and then put it on. And then if it's right, you then have to adjust it in the airbrush gun and then try it again. Like, could that take any more time when you're in a rush? Also, it dries and sets on the skin, which is great in many ways, but terrible as for a makeup artist, because you then can't manipulate it. You also have to put the concealer on after, you have to put the concealer on before the foundation, which means you end up putting loads more concealer than you need, because you think you need to cover more than you put the foundation on. It looks really heavy. So we hate airbrushing, never do it. How do you handle a rude or abrupt celebrity? I'm just really nice and I smile a lot and I talk really calmly, really slowly, and I just say, how can I make things better for you? What would you like me to change? Would you like a break? Would you like me to step away? Is there anything I can do to make you happier? Kill them with kindness. Know that you'll never see them again, and they're the ones making themselves look bad, not you. Who has been the nicest or friendliest celebrity you've worked with? Pretty much everyone. Everyone's really well trained in media awareness. So most celebrities now, especially American celebrities, are absolutely brilliant at having a front. They might talk about you horribly behind your back, but they're always nice to your face. So everyone's been really nice. I have lots of celebrity friends, and when I say celebrities, they're probably like Z-list, but I have, yeah, lots of friends who are in the public eye, and yeah, everyone's nice. I very rarely do I find someone who's a bit of a pain. It will normally be someone who's quite new to the industry, so someone who's come from Love Island, for example, and that's just generalizing. I don't mean anyone in particular, but someone who hasn't, maybe they've gone from being sort of normal, no one, or wanting to be famous, and suddenly they are famous, and it all just, they haven't had that training in between to sort of learn how to handle themselves. So that can be a bit bad sometimes. What is the most challenging aspect of your job as a freelance makeup artist? Diary clashes are so challenging. I'll get 3 days work, and I will 3 days work on a TV series that's set in stone. And then what I'll do is I'll move my freelancing news jobs and ecom, what I call my bread and butter jobs, around these 3 days to make sure like I've got a nice week built in with no clashes. And then that 3-day job moves to the week after, and you think, my God. Like if you take on weddings, they will always clash with an amazing job, and then you're just screwed, because what can you do about that? You have to do the wedding. So I would say the most challenging bit is just the diary logistics, and the fact that one job is in Manchester the night before and it wraps at 11 p.m, and the next job the next morning is in Devon at 7 a.m, and you've got from 11 p.m to 7 p.m to get across country, sleep, repack your kit, change your clothes, wash your hair. Like, it's the logistics of my job, and like being able to be a fairly sane human being at the same time are almost impossible. There are absolutely no routine. I've worked on the last 9 out of 12 Christmas days. I work normally every Boxing Day, Easter, every weekend. Just having absolutely no life, no social life. Having to take a job whether you want to or not, even if it is your friend's wedding, but it could be 6 weeks work. Like, what do you do in that situation? It's so tough. And it's really hard to explain to people that if we don't take that job, I can't pay my mortgage. So it sometimes has to win over anything else. It's not great, especially when you're starting out. And also just, you know, getting paid well for a job and then not having any other work for a week. Like, I actually in my career have never been without work. I've always been really lucky. I'm constantly busy, apart from obviously the last year where I've had nothing. But yeah, you definitely have to be really good with money, and really good with just don't buy anything you don't need. Just live hand to mouth. And then hopefully you'll be able to reap the rewards later down the line, or marry rich, which I should have done. What is the best piece of equipment to use when making online makeup tutorials? I guess that means a tripod and a ring light, which I'm using now. Let me see if I can take this off. I mean, I'm sure you've seen a ring light before. So that's what I've got. So something that you've got a lot of space around you, a decent camera in front of you, and really good light. Sit in front of a window if you can. And that's all my questions. Ta-da, and we're done early. Is there any more questions before I go?
I had a couple of questions actually. So you've been really honest, which is fantastic, about the struggles and the reality of freelance life. But what's your favourite part about working for yourself?
Oh, that no one tells me what to do. I love it. I hate authority. I really didn't enjoy school or college or university. I think because I always wanted to have my own business. I wanted to earn money. I wanted to be independent. Like I said before, I'm an only child, so I'm very used to being on my own. And I just love working for myself. I can't believe I'm so lucky that I don't have to deal with any office politics, any bullying. I really I'm quite I'm not very, I feel like I'm quite strong in some ways, but I'm not very good with if I think people don't like me, or if there's any kind of internal office stuff and politics. I hate anything like that. So I like just being in control. Yeah, I'm very controlling. So I like doing my own thing. I don't really like having to discuss things with people. So I love that side of my job. I love the fact that I've I've traveled to so many countries around the world and places around the UK because of my job, and I've been able to be inside palaces and underground and in mines and in beautiful stately homes, places that I never would have had access to just because of my job, and the fact that I get to see inside celebrities' houses because I'm really nosy. I love that. I feel like the luckiest girl in the world. It is absolute heaven. And it is extremely unpredictable and the hours are crazy, but you, like I said before, you might get a job where it's like 2 or 3 hours work and you're done by midday. Amazing. I never have a Sunday night fear, and I never have a Friday night joy, and I never want to live that way. I never want to be gutted about having to get up on Monday morning or so glad the week is over. The second that I feel that, I don't think that's living, and I know a lot of people don't have that choice, but I came from nothing, definitely a working class background with no financial support, even, but incredible family support. So I definitely don't think it's about you know, some people having to have jobs they don't like because they might not have any finance to start anything else. I think you can start anything these days, any kind of business, especially with the internet. So yeah, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it's just brilliant being able to work for yourself. But any job is great as long as you like it, is probably what I should say.
Yes, definitely. And if you had one piece of advice to pass on to our students, what would it be?
Do your research. Watch who is making the shows that you like to watch. Find out who's the makeup artist on it. Find out what they're working on next. Contact them. Be really annoying. Email them again and again and again and again until they're so annoyed with you that they just get you on just to shut you up. Don't think anything is ever going to come to you. It won't. There will always be someone who'll grab it off you.
Good advice. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time today, Victoria. It's been amazing.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely learned a lot. And
I feel absolutely, I don't know how people teach all day, every day. Every time I just do 1 hour's lecture, I am knackered. It like drains you talking at that. So hats off to all the teachers in lockdown having to do this.
Definitely. And thank you for taking the time to do this with us today.
You're welcome.
Like I said on the other one, this has been recorded and we will try and get it up on YouTube by the end of this week so that people can watch it again. And
thank you.
Thank you again for your time.
And if there is any questions, or like if anyone's watching this on YouTube now and they want to message me on Victoria Penrose Makeup Instagram or email me on my website, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Lovely. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. I'm going to go and do some boring invoicing and emails now. So that's a downside of the job.
Enjoy.
Bye. Bye.